What's up, everybody? What's going on? Everybody can hear me. Everybody's doing good. Just thought I'd go live for a few minutes, kind of update everybody on what's going on. I hope everybody's seen the story that I just dropped. I think it's a good one. I mean, it's not much of a story. I basically just wrote a top for it and then put the transcripts up there for everybody to read, the JPEGs of each page. And then before I did that, I copy and pasted the text into one of those things that takes the all caps out, and then just added the caps in that needed to be there, and put it all in there. So what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so glad to see everybody. Yeah, I figured there was so much. Somebody commented on the other Tory Lanez video or something. They're like, wow, the Tory Lanez fans are out in force today, and yeah, they definitely are. And this would happen like in the past because there's so much interest in the case, and there was so much interest in the sentencing. But now that the sentencing's happened, a lot of people have kind of moved on because he's been sentenced, So, but I know there are still a ton of people interested in the details of it, but of course we're just not going to get the crowd that we had before, but they're still totally dedicated. So I was hoping that this story would kind of just shut people up, because it's like, look, I've made it clear that I wasn't raising money for transcripts that are already on, for free online. I don't need to address that anymore. The people who keep bringing that up are just being malicious trolls. But I mean, it's kind of funny because every single one of those people didn't just drop what they were doing and read that story because they want to read what Lane said. I'm like, see, I told you so. This is the most important transcript to get right now, because her statement obviously was powerful and everybody wanted to get that too, but it was also read a little slower and it was a lot shorter. So I think there are bigger chunks of her statement that are already out there for people to read and that were quoted on the first day, whereas his statement was so long. And then also he just spoke in kind of a different manner. And by that time it's like the second day, really near the end of the afternoon, so people had been writing notes all day. Some people had, and there's just no way everybody got everything that he said. I thought I'd heard him pretty well, but I mean, just with everybody in the courtroom and the tension and stuff. When I read the transcript today, I was like, oh, he's the one who announced his engagement. I had missed that he identified himself in there as the fiance to the mother of his child, because everyone heard Baez say it at the end of the hearing, but maybe some people did hear him say that, but I hadn't heard that. There's just so much going on and you're trying to take notes and et cetera, but I haven't seen all the coverage. I know most of the coverage, like the newspaper coverage and the TV coverage that you guys probably see nationally if you live basically anywhere, is from the Associated Press. So my friend Andrew, who I actually sit by in court sometimes, he has to write things from like a very general standpoint. So I kind of felt bad I felt bad for a lot of people having to sit through that 2-day hearing, but especially for him, like all the argument about the law and stuff, it's not going to go in a story because he doesn't have room for it. The most important things, and really the most important things for anyone, are obviously the sentence, but then Megan's statement and Lanez's statement. And he probably mentioned in the article some of the other people that talked in the general requests, but I mean, his article has to be very like inverted pyramid style, have the background on the case, and it's going out to editors who are chopping it from the bottom and just making it like a couple paragraphs in there. So he probably, out of anyone, got the most from Megan and Lanez's statements, but I haven't seen that. And just because he got it all and it all went out on the wire doesn't mean that every publication that picked it up is going to include all those comments. So I thought this was pretty important to get. And I definitely wanted to get Herriford's comments too, but gosh, it says something about the price of these documents, that the excerpts total, it was 17 pages and it was $85, which, I mean, $85 isn't like, that's a cost that newsrooms and I can bear. I mean, you don't want to do $85 like every day, but that's kind of a regular court document price. And any newsroom that I worked with would just reimburse you. But $1,000, like honestly, the newsrooms that I've worked at over the years probably wouldn't even want to pay that, just because it's just too much and the news value just isn't there for them. It would depend kind of what the document was when you're paying that much. So I mean, I figured instead of just not getting it at all, because I want to see the judges' comments for sure. I mean, people are so interested in it. Why not do it? And like I said, some people are commenting. It was kind of cool that we were able to raise that much in the morning. But I think if we were actually trying to get money for trial transcripts that aren't out there, and one thing I don't want to do is pay for any of them when somebody has them all and just hasn't posted them all. I know I now have links to Megan's full transcript, which is linked at the bottom of the article. And I've got a link to day 2 of Kelsey's testimony, which is down at the bottom of the article. I haven't seen a link to actually Sean Kelly's testimony, but apparently that's out there. But I know they have to have all the transcripts for like opening statements, closing arguments, and I just don't think. I mean, to fundraise for all that, you'd have to post it multiple times, and it works, but it's also it opens you up to scams. Like I had immediately had somebody request that I send them $1,500 for the transcript. It's like, what? No, dude, that's not how it works. Somebody was a little tried to be a little more realistic and only requested $35. I mean, the $1,500 one was just like, what are you even doing, dude? I'm not here for that, but we've definitely got enough now. It was like 1,100 or so that was generated, like 1,150 or something. So she told me 1,000 rough, the court reporter, but she's gonna have a final estimate on like Monday or Tuesday. And but the 85 was easy to pay, and like I said, I was gonna but like I said, who else had this transcript? And like everybody on the who's interested in this case and is doing the reading the trial transcript from back in December, like they're not currently reading that transcript that I posted of Lanez's comment. Nobody else had that. You had to get it somehow. So I did ask the court reporter like how much interest there's been in this, and she said that she sent the excerpts of the Megan and Tory's statements to one other person. So that's actually why I put that story out today before the letters, because I mean, I figured, is somebody else gonna post that? I haven't seen it posted anywhere else, but see, because that's the thing, somebody buys these transcripts and they don't distribute them. It could be the lawyers, but I don't think the lawyers would be buying transcript experts like that. They would just wait till Monday to get it. But somebody out there, one other person other than me, has paid $85 for the transcript excerpts, I know. And she told me that I think she said 2 or 3 other people are waiting on the full transcript from Monday or Tuesday. So frankly, if somebody would get that and pay for it and post it all for everybody to read before I get it, donate that $1,000 to a domestic violence shelter or something, But I just don't think that's what's going to happen, because nobody's actually posting the full transcripts. They did today. I finally started to see the Megan Thee Stallion one and Kelsey day 2, but I still haven't seen Kelsey day 1. And if somebody has it, they can post it in the links. But I'm not sure it's really, I mean, I know there's some interest in getting the full trial transcripts, but if those aren't already publicly posted, I'm just not interested in like pursuing them more, because I do kind of see the point of, like, one person made the point that people really need to move on. Like the sentencing stuff, I think it was pretty essential just to tie up some loose ends to get the statements out and everything. But the trial transcripts, because part of it, I mean, it's being used to harass me for sure. There are all these people in the replies being like, oh, how is this not reported about Sean Kelly's testimony? And it's like, you really just need to ignore them. But like, except it was, I mean, they clearly haven't even like actually read the reporting. So there's just no sense in arguing with them or trying to defend yourself. But if anyone's got any questions or anything, you can fire them away here, but I'll bring up the article so everybody can check it out. I am going to have the final article on the letters soon, and I was going to have that before, but I just figured the transcripts, I got them this morning, and a good thing to get out, because like I said, I think especially Lanez's statement, I mean, he had so much to say. It was kind of amazing, and there's no way that everybody got like even most of what he said. The only way to really get it would be through the court reporter. So, but and there's just like little things about putting these articles together that kind of take time, because to even call this an article, there was a top that was written, but I mean, it wasn't it wasn't much of an article other than just copy and pasting and doing the capitalizations. But and I learned this working at Law and Crime, that a really important thing in the story is the top image, the image that displays on social media and draws people into the story. And Law and Crime they won't even do stories if they don't think that they have a good cover image on it. And I kind of understand that, because it's just important for the story. So Mona had given me permission. She'd actually sent me all her sketches on the phone and said, feel free to use these. But she hadn't actually, this is from the trial, obviously, because Megan didn't talk in person. She hadn't actually said anything about this sketch, which I'm sure it was going to be fine, but it's the kind of thing that you should ask first. So it was just kind of things like that, like texting Mona to make sure she's okay if I use that sketch, and then just putting everything together into a story, or into a little art figure for it. But I did that. I was kind of struggling with how to put something together for the letters story that should have been out by now, but it's not. But I'm kind of stoked about what I came up with for that, because one of the guys who wrote a letter had included some drawings that he did of Tory. So I put something together like this here. I'll pull it up on here. But this will be the top to the cover letter story, because we've got Stefan Don there, and that's like just a bunch of screenshots of the letters that I took and put in there. But that'll be out soon, like tomorrow morning. It would have been out today, but one thing I'm a little worried about is just bombarding people with emails. Like I think I am one of the more active subscription email listers, but I mean, Washington Post and New York Times send out emails all the time, but that's definitely not me. But I did include something in the story today to my long-term readers who are kind of accustomed to federal courts coverage, that I'll be back on that soon, that the nonstop lanes coverage is gonna stop soon, just because there are a couple pretty big things coming up next week. Tom Girardi's mental competency hearing is happening. It's not going to be delayed. And then there's a sentencing on Monday for an LA politician. It's a corruption case I've been covering. So I'll be covering those. But let's see if we have somebody asked if I ever plan on attending one of Megan's shows. I'd love to. I did watch her when she performed at the Essence Festival in New Orleans. I watched that online. And then actually my friend Gina, who's a reporter at Law 360, went to Outside Lands up in San Francisco the other weekend and texted me a photo. And she's like, I need to see you on stage like this sometime. I'm like, I just think I've never talked to her before. I never had like contact with her before, but I just think, especially with just like how personal this issue is. And like, even if, I mean, if she hung out with me, it's like, what would I just remind her of? You know, it's like, I mean, I think she kind of just wants to move on from this, but it'd be the kind of thing. And I think the way that it would ever happen is if like Good Morning America, like arranged it. So we like met on the show or something. But I think if that was going to happen, it would have happened like already. Cause that's the kind of thing that you do like right away when something's hot. And, you know, it was a big thing, but it wasn't that big of a thing, like nationally. You know, I think people just need to move on. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to read their statements out loud. I was kind of wondering about that, because I don't want to take away from it. And then, you know, a woman reading Lanes' statement, it might just sound kind of weird, but everybody can read it themselves. And I'm sure there's some others who are going to read them online or do like a YouTube live reading of it. But yeah, I mean, this was Kathy Taw too, who read it. We had two prosecutors on the case, Alex Bott, who was kind of the lead guy. He did the opening statement and the closing argument and different exams, but Kathy Taw is the one who did the exam of Megan, and also Kelsey, which obviously was kind of the disastrous one because Kelsey recanted on the stand and that became this like really combative thing. But Kathy Taw was the one who read her statement in court. And it was just so, I mean, kind of what you would expect when you've covered sentencings before. Megan's statement was like about the length that you would expect and kind of the tone and everything. But I was not expecting Lanez's statement at all. I mean, I figured he would say something, but a lot of people keep it really short. But he had quite a lot to say, as everybody can see here. Mona's drawings. I wish we could have cameras in there, but there's something that's so like special about court sketches too. And actually that reminds me, I was going to schedule a Q&A, like not anytime soon because there's so much going on, and I need to do that Smokey Robinson live first, where I talk about the trial with my friend Craig, Law 360 reporter who also covered it. So that'll probably take all next week, and there's a couple other things to cover. But I want to get Mona on for YouTube Live. She's already said she's interested in. I know one of the hip hop magazines interviewed her. They had like a cool Q&A with her after the trial that was like meet the sketch artist that sketched her. So she says she's totally interested, and should be a good talk. I mean, I think we'll have we'll take questions in the Q&A, and we can have like, you know, various, she can talk about like the various things that she did. But oh man, the trolls are out in session. Like I said, like after the sentencing, there's so much interest like the day of and everything, but after the sentencing, it kind of dies down, and people kind of need to move on. But his fans are still living on. It's yeah, and somebody, I mean, them talking about like the appeal process, and it's like this is gonna take a couple of years, guys. I mean, I haven't checked today to see if his appellate case has been cited, but that was one thing another live I was going to do, where I just kind of take through the process, and I can even like do a tutorial where I show people how they can actually sign up for the case themselves and get emails anytime there's a filing, which won't be very often, but yeah, but when there is like a brief or something filed, everybody can get their own email about it. You don't have to depend on anyone else for it. But yeah, I mean, all the people who just want to troll me and talk about my past, yeah, it's just like, no, dude, we're talking about something else here, but you guys can all go away. Yeah, still no Court of Appeal case here. I'll bring that up. This is the appellate. I always just Google like California Court of Appeal and it comes up, but there's a court information thing, and his is going to be in the 2nd appellate district. But you would search for him by party. You can also search attorneys, which is pretty interesting. If there's an attorney you're interested in or something like that, you can actually search this, and it shows you all the cases that they've done in that district. It's a good way to find like cases similar to his or something like that kind of see how those cases went in the scheduling on it. But again, when you search it, there's only one case that comes up, and this is his appellate writ on the judge disqualification from back in May, June. So, but that should be, because like I said the other day, when I asked the DA's office if there was going to be a bail hearing, and they said there was no motion filed. So no, they said they had gotten the notice of appeal in the mail. So I'm assuming any day now, like tomorrow, there's going to be a case that comes up in there. So we can do the live. We can do another tutorial. Somebody asked, I'm not sure if this is for, oops. Not a troll. I'm upset because I've been misguided. It's like, well, that's one thing. I just, and especially at this, if you were a juror on this case and you just saw all this stuff online, would you ever want to like talk to anyone publicly about this and have it be publicly known that you were a juror on this case? Of course not. So, oh, somebody says trial transcripts are out now for free. that's great. But as I've said before in here, I'll link to the story too, because I've in the story at the end of the story, I've collected all the links to the trial transcripts that I've seen. And this is just today, because I've been seeing excerpts of the trial transcripts floated around since the trial. And I've always been like, people would be doing a pretty big public service if they would just post the entire PDF of the transcript for people to read. And I've never seen the links, which doesn't mean that they don't exist. But I think if those links were being widely distributed, they'd be pretty easy to find. This morning, was sent, like in the replies, it's a link to Megan's full the transcript of Megan's full testimony, which is linked in the story that I just linked again in there. And then day 2 of Kelsey's testimony. It's not day 1. I think if you read day 2, you're kind of getting the same point, because day 1 is pretty much just a train wreck too, where she's denying everything. But like I said, the people who are shrieking about how all the trial transcripts are online, it's like, I don't think they actually are. But like I said, if you've got all the trial transcript links, like, please include them, because it was overall easy to get the money for the sentencing transcripts. But I don't want to go on there every day, like putting my Cash App trying to get money for the trial transcripts. If they're already out there, people need to put up for them. And I think people kind of need to move on, because like I said, I was getting some replies from somebody talking about how, none of the reporters said that Sean Kelly said that the flashes or the shooting originated with the woman. It's like, okay, have you read any of the coverage on this? Because yes, we have. And it's just not worth engaging in, because it's either malicious or, like I said, and I think the 19th news article, it's either, malicious or stupidity, or maybe a little bit of both. And there's just no arguing with it at this point. But I am committed to having some, like the Tory Lanez tab that I've got on the website right now. I will put a huge collection up top of all the transcripts that we get eventually, because I think it's a good public service to just have all that stuff out there. And the article that I linked has the Megan's trial transcript in there, day 2 of Kelsey's, because that's the only thing I've seen. I haven't seen day 1. And yeah, and somebody says I need moderators. I know, and it's like all the trolls just need to go away. But it's not a bad discussion to have, because I do believe that some of this is a little bit genuine, in that they're just confused. So many malicious people are talking online that some people really are confused, and they're like, well, why? It's like, no, I haven't seen all the trial transcripts, and I just don't think trying to get those right now is something that there's really a big interest in. The sentencing thing was the big thing, and it's like, after this, we kind of just need to move on. But I am committed to collecting all the links that are out there if we have them, because I mean, that would be the big thing with even paying for any trial transcripts, is somebody has all of these things on there. We will be paying on Monday. I'm not sure if it's Monday. She said early next week. The court reporter, the full transcript of the sentencing is not yet finished. So she told me there's like 2 or 3 other people who want to buy it too. But there's no possible way that the whole sentencing transcript is online, because the woman who is actually finishing the sentencing transcript hasn't finished it yet. So she finished Megan and Tory's statements earlier, because I asked her if she could do that a couple days ago, and she said, sure, because she knows that's the big thing everybody wants to see. But she's got to like polish it up and finish it all this week, and probably read over it to make sure there are no typos. Because I think once she issues it, it's like, this is official. I guess she could go back and fix stuff if she really needed to, but you don't really want to do that. So but yeah, if people have all the other trial transcripts, like I said, if you go to the story, I've linked to all the transcripts that I currently know of, which is the transcript from his motion, his 2-day hearing on the motion for new trial, which I especially recommend lawyers love that one, because it's just like, oh my God, what a circus. But the transcript from Megan's full testimony is up there, but we only have day 2 of Kelsey. I haven't seen day 1. So, but yeah, I think like I said, like everyone who hasn't just been trolling me all day, when I posted the sentencing transcripts, like they all didn't just drop what they were doing and read Tory's statement. I mean, come on, everybody wants to read that. It was totally important. But But like I said, I'm not really interested and I think there's a little bit of interest, but I'm not gonna exert too much effort in trying to get the trial transcripts. So, Ebony Goddess, you're always so nice and supportive. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but we've got it in the story. The story that I just posted like an hour ago is all about Megan's testimony. It's got the photos of the actual transcript that you can read, and then I went through and copied and pasted it and fixed the capitalizations and stuff, so you can read it that way too. And then Lanez's is in there too. So that's the big thing that came out today. But no, and you know what? Because these people are just spreading disinformation, and I'm just gonna ban her because she's wrong. The sentencing transcript is not out yet. I haven't. Yeah, just exactly, just block them. Like they're just spreading misinformation and stuff. But yeah, I appreciate all the support. People seem into it. I mean, I feel weird about asking for money online because you just kind of open yourself up for scams and everything. But especially as an independent journalist, a lot of other people who do this have told me I need to be a lot more vocal about it. And somebody commented, they're like, well, why would you shut it off? What if people just want to donate to you? And I just think there needs to be a more structured way to do that. And I kind of try to present it on my About Me website and the other subscription websites and everything. But yeah, I mean, gosh, there's a lot of, I mean, I've been watching kind of people do the independent journalism thing for a while. While I was at organizations, and that's the thing. I was with Law and Crime when I was covering the trial, and yeah, I made a salary, but the people who are really making money off all that coverage and who still currently are with all the YouTube videos is Law and Crime, and part of that is just from what they've achieved with their channel and everything. They've got like 5 million subscribers, but that's really what got me interested in it, was just seeing how successful their stuff is, and just seeing all my footage and all my talks and all my work outside the courthouse going into these Law and Crime videos that are still like currently today making money because people are watching, the recap that I did, the trial recap that I've directed to. And it's not like if there was a union or something at Law and Crime, I mean, the first thing I would be advocating if I worked there would be to get the reporters some kind of commission from those YouTube videos. But that was never really discussed or anything. And really, that's part of working for an organization, is you're working for the bigger cause and everything. But that was a big motive to leave. And I had originally gone to LA Magazine just because kind of know the guys who had taken over the ownership, and especially Ben is huge on YouTube. He does all the political stuff. Midas Media, Midas Touch. He has huge numbers on there. So he was helping me get set up and had big ideas about going live from the courthouse. I mean, basically what I'm trying to do now. So he was real supportive to get things set up. I just kind of the path and the needs of LA Mag were kind of different than the way I wanted to go with my coverage. But I still stay in touch with those guys. And Ben, I mean, if you just look at Ben's network and what he and his brothers have built on YouTube, it's pretty cool. That's why I think there's a lot of room for like discussions and interviews, like with Law 360 reporters that I cover trials with. Mona, I think we could do a great Q&A on. And I think the key to that is when I do those Q&As, having it planned out like a week in advance, because I think there definitely would be some people in the legal community too who would tune in. But this kind of spur of the moment stuff, is not always the best. Gary Austin, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love getting being able to get on here and talk to everyone. Somebody asked if there was a sentencing report, and I have not seen like a final judgment or a final comment. I don't think the judge is like going to write an order where he writes out his reasoning. There will be a judgment that's like basically a form that was filled out that has his sentencing regarding probation. And I before I speak on that, I should ask a friend who knows a little bit more. But Oh, somebody. Okay, and I'm gonna block this person for lying. You're lying. No, and I've said if everybody wants to read Megan's transcript here, I'm gonna. It's in the story. The story that I posted that has the um, uh, transcript. The link to Megan's transcript is the one that I just posted. It's at the very bottom. But here it's and in the end the jury, that's why I just want to talk to the jury, because all the people who are reading this, you don't have the tone of the courtroom, you don't have the context, you don't have the uh, everything that else that went into the trial, and the jurors had all that stuff. And I remember just off the top of my head, when they deliberated like 7 hours over 2 days. They asked pretty quick to see Sean Kelly's testimony or a read back, because they don't actually get the transcript and read it. They go sit in the courtroom, or maybe the court reporter goes back into the jury room and reads the transcript out loud. So that's how the jurors like revisit the testimony. And they asked for a read back of Sean Kelly's testimony. They got a read back of the GSR testimony. And at the same time, they had also asked for a readback of Megan's testimony. But then after they got the GSR testimony, they said that they didn't need Megan's testimony read back anymore. So everybody always says that you can't like read in the tea leaves or talk about, try to make inferences from the questions and that kind of thing. But you know, you can kind of speculate and try to figure out what the deliberations were like based on that. But I mean, like I said earlier, if you were a juror on this case, would you want to come forward and be like, oh yeah, I'm one of the people who convicted Tory Lanez. My name is, yeah, right. And if any of them are watching this, which I doubt it, hopefully they've just moved on with their lives, I would absolutely give them anonymity. And that's really the one kind of timeless story that I think is always worth revisiting. Well, I really think we all need to be like wrapping this up and just kind of putting the finishing touches on it. Yes, we'll cover the appeal, but that's going to be a long process. The one story that I would like drop everything to go cover is if some juror called me up and was like, oh yeah, I'd love to talk to you about deliberative. Oh my God, really? But there is kind of a thought that you don't really get into the deliberative process. Like actually the Smokey Robinson trial that I just covered, a couple of jurors, only 2 of the 8 jurors wanted to meet Smokey afterward, but the 2 who came out, Otis Wright, the judge, was even talking to them about, you know, don't get into the deliberative process. So I kind of think if we haven't heard from them, I mean, we're not ever going to hear from them. And I've always said that Jose Baez said at the sentencing hearing, he commented that the prosecutors hadn't talked to the jurors, because his point was like, how can you say if you know what they think if you haven't talked to them? But I've always said that, especially with how experienced Jose Baez and Ed Wellborn are, there's no way they didn't gosh, you guys, there's no way they didn't go talk to the jurors. There's just no way. And if we never heard anything about what they said, it's because the jurors didn't have anything good to say for Tory. I mean, that's just true. My nosy self appreciates this extra cover. Plus, you have to deal with the Leprechaun League. Yeah, I know, they're crazy. It's like, dude. And it's crazy to me how it's gotten so personal, because I'm like, do they realize that like other reporters covered this trial too? Yeah, fuck you, dude. Oh gosh. How did Sean Kelly's initial statement to police not be read? His initial. And the Kelsey, I've gone over this a million times, but Kelsey's original statement was played because there was so much questioning when she recanted on the stand. They were already going to be able to get into her previous statements, like that Kathy Taw was doing, because it was inconsistent statements. There's a whole line about that. But they wouldn't be able to play the whole statement, except Tory's lawyer just started totally badgering him, which I mean, Jose Baez has made it clear that he thinks Tory just had terrible lawyers, and it would have been, maybe a different trial if he had had it. But God, these guys are such douches. It's just amazing. And just for the record, like all the stuff when people are just talking about my background and stuff, it's just, dude, it's not my job to like get on and correct this stuff. It's like, just mind your own business. It's just dumb. I mean, they can just kind of spread lies about me all they want. And in the end, what I've really noticed, and what I talked about with other reporters too, it's like, I don't think mainstream society takes any of this stuff seriously. I mean, I think there's a thought with these trolls that, oh, if people find out about this, she's done for, and I've said before that my longtime readers and, the attorneys who know me and see me in court, if I am ever just chatting with them and I show them like a video of these trolls or something, I mean, they're the most common reaction I get, the most common thing people respond with, it's 2 words. They say, "Be careful." And it's like, yeah, exactly. These people are crazy. They're all after me. So, I mean, the idea that people are embarrassing me when they, bring up false things about my record or something, it's like, it's just not, God, just go away, guys. Mainstream society doesn't take this seriously. But what I think kind of sets Megan apart, and Megan Thee Stallion, and why you see her as like an answer on Jeopardy, and she comes up on Wheel of Fortune, and the people know who she is, even though you can kind of tell that they probably aren't bumping her music all the time, is I think mainstream society does take her seriously because it's what she represents. And I mean, kind of the Cardi B kind of broke into it first, but I think mainstream society is more in tune with that, powerful women and in rap, and the hip hop misogyny that she kind of fights against, and that kind of thing. So it was interesting. And I do wonder about Sean Kelly, because I mean, I'm sure some people are just outright harassing him. I mean, I've seen videos of people like going to his house and things like that, and it's like, guys, he's a private citizen. But his testimony I mean, if you go back and read the tweets and read the articles about this, none of this is new, guys. I mean, he said that the flashes started with a girl, the girls, but then he said that the short guy took over, and it was like, well, how many shots did you see the short guy shoot? And he said 4 or 5. I mean, we've been over this all before, but I think it does make me wonder if I should do like a definitive video of just going over my law and crime stories, or if I do get the transcript to like Sean Kelly's testimony, should be like, okay, here's what Sean Kelly said. But like I said, it's been covered. The people who are still just bringing this up all the time aren't going to be convinced. So I really just think people need to move on. Like I said, there's some loose ends to tie up with the sentencing, and the appellate process will of course be something to cover, but there's just not going to be much to cover that for a while. But yeah, I think Megan would appreciate it if we all moved on, Megan Thee Stallion, and like I said, the people who obsess over it and slander people and like talk about me on their Instagram lives in bed or something are still going to be doing that. So why do it? But yeah, I think I might sign off here. Like I said, I really want to get that letter out, or that letter story out, which I've finished. But for anybody who's new, I'll share the screen on that again, because like I said, one of the hardest parts or most important parts about the story, I think, is that main image that you have. And sometimes it's just obvious, like you've got a guy coming out of the courthouse, like Smokey Robinson will be easy because I got a shot of him coming out of the courthouse. But it's kind of like, what do you do with the letters? And I was told at Law and Crime that we can take screenshots of videos because it was aired through blah, 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 blah. But obviously the picture is from the different letters that were submitted. So that'll all be in there. But yeah, coming up, I don't think I'm going to do a live on this second letter story that publishes, just because these are all the letters that I went through in the other live, and we really just need to get these out. But there's a lot in there that are really interesting. Some are really, heartwarming and heart-wrenching in how they wrote about it. But the next one will be doing a recap on the Smokey Robinson trial and getting that out. And oh gosh, just block them. And I do think I was like, I was hoping it was going to get delayed, but the Tom Girardi, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills husband, the big thieving lawyer who was like the judge kingmaker and knows all the important lawyers in the state, has his mental competency hearing. I think it starts next Wednesday. And while that's not maybe a big one for the hip hop crowd, I know there's a big online crowd through the Bravo people, and like Emily D. Baker, the law nerd who covers stuff, she might be able to tap me into some of those people. So I might do a live stream from the courthouse during a break in Tom Girardi's mental competency hearing, but we'll see about that. And I'll highlight this. And actually, Nick at Night told me that for every one bad comment that she responds to, she tries to make a point of responding to 4 or 5 nice comments. And I think that's a very, very good way to approach it, because it's like, why, when all these people are saying nice things to you, why do you focus on the one asshole? It's like, just ignore them. And if you don't, like she said, talk to 4 or 5 nice people. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, her channel is awesome, and she blocks crazy people. Exactly, because I was like talking about just ignoring them, and she was like, I go into the comments and fight with people. I'm like, but she did say, like, yeah, for every one bad comment she responds to more of them. So, but I do one thing I like about this is I do like the fact that like haters are actually like paying money to like try to like embarrass me over stuff. It's just like, yeah, dude, keep sending me. I don't mind. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'll try to get that up. But I don't think I'm going to do a live on the LA politicians sentencing. I'm not quite sure the interest is there, but I'm definitely going to be covering it, doing an article on it Monday. But yeah, I hate the fact that Smokey's testimony has just been kind of hanging out there. I should have gotten this story out earlier, but needed to kind of let it marinate. And I just remind myself that, Craig, the other reporter who covered it, his story was out the day of the verdict. And he definitely talked about Smokey's testimony, but he's a little more limited in how he has to approach things. So I'll definitely have like the definitive story of the Smokey Robinson trial. And then we'll schedule a live with him where we can get into the whole thing. So that'll be fun. So, yeah, somebody said, you've made it when you have obsessed haters. Like, yeah. And actually I looked up, cause in the GQ article, I thought it was cool that they got, Ann Rule and Carl Hyacin up there. Carl Hyacin's a Miami Herald columnist and has been around forever. And he's written all these funny books about, politicians and things like that. But when I Googled him just to read his biography again the other night, it says that his proudest career achievement was when a politician that he was writing about in Florida, like a county commissioner, actually introduced a resolution saying bad things about him, condemning his work. And he said that was his proudest moment. It's like, yeah, I mean, the idea that any of this stuff is taken seriously by the big world, like some attorneys who know me and might talk to me for a story, or like Googling me and they're like, oh wait, well Tory Lanez says we shouldn't trust anything she says. It's like, come on, people. Oh gosh, we've got all the, and that's the thing. No, if people would post all their Sean Kelly stuff, that kind of thing. Like I said, I'm committed to getting all the transcripts and everything into above. The Michael, I'm gonna have to Google that name. I don't know who that is. Michael, how do you pronounce the last name? Too bad we don't have voices. I guess that's what Spaces is for. But that's why I'm mostly a writer. We don't We don't have the Motown stuff was cool. He was all Smokey was all worked up because usually they when a celebrity testifies, kind of like anybody that's like, what's your occupation, and they get into his background a little bit and then get into the facts of the case. But he was the last witness in the case, so his lawyer put him up on the stand and was like, Mr. Robinson, you've been sitting here for 3 or 4 days now, and it's finally your chance to testify, and you've got a lot you want to get off your mind, don't you, or something like that. So he really kind of unloaded. He had a lot to say about, he was doing all this when Eric was in diapers and his parents were still kids and that kind of thing, and he got a little worked up. He was really cool though in how he talked about the history of Motown, and he had a really cool story about going into a go-go, I guess, as he would say, and seeing young kids like multiracial, like different races dancing with each other. And he was just like realizing the power of Motown. And his attorney actually teared up a little bit on the stand. I think it might have been a little bit of a show, but it was also really genuine. I mean, everyone in the courtroom was like, wow, this is incredible. And Craig, the Law 360 reporter who I'm going to do the live with, is actually from Detroit. And afterward, when we were talking to Smokey, he said that he knows his parents raised him to understand the importance of Motown, and he was really touched by Smokey's story about that. So I've got the quotes on it in my notes, and I think I might be able to get the transcript from the reporter too. So it'll be important to, as I think, especially the fact that that's the only time he's ever testified in court before, and the idea that he's ever going to testify again, I don't think so. So it'll be a good one. I know somebody. Thank you for the love. I appreciate all the love you guys can get and give. Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of running out of things to say. I think. Why am I deleting links? I'm not deleting links, guys. In the end, they're just lying and trolling me. But here, these are the transcripts I have. They're all posted at the bottom of this. This is the sentencing story that, like I said, all the people who are trolling me right now, like they didn't just drop what they were doing and read Tory's statement. I mean, of course. This is day 2 of Kelsey's testimony. Like I said, I haven't seen day 1. I'm not saying it's not out there, but I haven't been sent it yet. And then Megan's testimony. She testified all in one day, so the transcript is the entire thing. It's here. But like I said, I mean, these people are just lying. They're just lying and trying to troll me. But and then the tab that I have right now, the Tory Lanez tab that has all the coverage in it, I'll eventually update that to get the transcripts that I do have in there. But hopefully somebody can post them, because like I said, people want them. I don't particularly want to have to do any kind of payment for them, especially when they're already out there. Like Tory's lawyers obviously have all the sentencing papers or the trial transcripts, and they could release them all if they wanted to, the opening, the closing. So could prosecutors, but I don't think they're really in the business of doing that. But I'd love to see the transcript from the opening statements, the closing arguments, all the witnesses, get them all out there right now. Like I said, we've got the transcript from the motion on the new trial, the 2-day hearing on that. And the only reason I have that is because when I went to the appellate court to buy his writ petition to disqualify the judge, they actually had that transcript attached as a exhibit. So if I had bought that from the court reporter, it probably would have been like, I don't even know how much, like a couple $100 or something. Probably more than that, like 500. But because it was an exhibit with an appellate court document, you pay appellate court prices for it. So it was like 50 cents a page or something. It was easier to do. So that's the one that I've always had. And I've seen the trial transcripts, excerpts floated around really since the trial. And I've always said, like, just post the entire, just block all these people. They're just, yeah. Because I mean, like I said, over and over again, I'd love to get all the trial transcripts. Megan's testimony is posted up there. We've got Kelsey's. I haven't seen Sean Kelly's. That doesn't mean that an actual link to the transcript isn't out there. And I know people are doing YouTube videos like I'm doing, but I'm also posting the entire transcript, because some people love YouTube videos. It's like, hopefully I can, kind of tap into a crowd here and do it. It's like listening to a podcast, but other people just don't have time for them. And the idea that you can only get the information if you watch a YouTube video. That's why I always want to do a story before I do that. I've been kind of bad at the letters, because I did see somebody reply to me the other day. They're like, oh, are we going to get all the letters, or do we have to watch all the entire YouTube video? Because I think a lot of people watched that YouTube video, but then a lot of people didn't, because I'm definitely of the crowd that doesn't feel like I have like 3 hours to devote to listening to some entire YouTube video about that. But I'd rather be the one people are listening to. But yeah, we've got the story in there. I think Megan's statement is powerful. People are going to want to read that. But like I said, it was shorter and easier for. It was shorter and easier for people to get notes on. So I think there are more quotes out about that. But Tory's statement, like I said, all the people who are trolling and just spiraling out of control right now, oh, he's going to be out in 6 months, like they all didn't go and read that transcript immediately, because like I said, nobody else has gotten that. The court reporter told me that she had sent it to one other person, but when I was searching around, haven't seen anybody else post it. But she did tell me she's had 2 or 3 other people ask for, who are in line to get the sentencing transcript when it's all ready next week. So if I wake up to an email from her, saying it's ready, but then I go online and see that somebody else has already posted the entire thing, I will absolutely donate the $1,000 that we generated. It was like $1,200 to a domestic violence shelter, because if the transcript is already out there, obviously we don't need to purchase our own. But I will be pretty surprised if somebody actually posts the entire transcript. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, somebody says this is how you know they're a star. They're obsessed with you. Yeah, seriously, people. What are you going to do when there really isn't going to be anything else to write about? Because all the people who are screaming about me to stop covering it, it's like, people, there's still some loose ends to tie up here. But yeah, no, pretty soon this case is going to be over. And I want to do the appellate video that walks people through the appellate process, maybe looks at some oral argument for another case, and then just shows people how they can actually go into the appellate court and get their own email address to sign up for alerts for emails and new filings in his case, which, like I said, are going to be pretty few and far in between. But after that, I don't think there's really going to be much to cover anymore. So what are these guys going to do? I don't know. Yeah. Who wants to be Megan the reporter? Raise your hand. Promise it's not that glamorous, guys. That's the thing. I mean, like I said, $85, that kind of thing. I mean, we can do that. I wouldn't want to do that every day. But I've seen James from LA Times respond to people too. And he's one of the ones who's always been you have to ignore those people. But he made a point of saying, I usually ignore the trolls, but I have to point out the idiocy of somebody acting like I'm some kind of rich person with a house or something. It's exactly. I mean, we're not in the poorhouse. It could be a lot worse. And I know we're really fortunate and privileged, but journalists don't make a lot of money. It's there's nothing wrong with trying to crowdsource for documents that otherwise you wouldn't get. Like I said, the $85, I was always going to pay for those, just the excerpts. But I just kind of figured last night, it's if people want to see this transcript, why not do it? And I was relieved to see that the court reporter doesn't sound like she's been getting much harassment, because the social media stuff, I think it's a little much to even call it harassment when you can just block people and they kind of go away. Because really, I've gotten a few text messages here and there, but it's not, I mean, I don't really feel like I've really been doxxed like that or anything like that. But I've just wondered about other people. I'm wonder what about those doctors at Cedars-Sinai, or people are calling up Cedars-Sinai, demanding to talk to them, and going to Sean Kelly's house and stuff. I don't know. But oh gosh. it's annoying that people try to compare you to these bloggers who have actual zero education and credentials. Like, it's just, it's just one case. Like, and I was interested. I wonder if anybody's ever done a study on all the different blogospheres out there, because I was reminded of another wild world of blogs and the vicious, fighting and stuff. Professional surfing, guys, if you remember that exists, because most people in the country do not surf, but living where I live, it's a pretty big surf town, and there's a big surfing contest coming up early September. It's the WSL. They're going to be at Trestles. And I was just kind of reminded of the surf bro industry and all that stuff. Actually, the guy who sued Cardi B over that album cover is a big surf bro, but they're all over Orange County. And there's definitely a big blogosphere of like surfgirl.com and different message boards where they all gossip about each other and that kind of thing. I'm like, I wonder what the media landscape is like in there. But somebody's like posting Sean Kelly's picture. I'm like, yeah, things like, oh, because I saw somebody talking about how they'd gotten photos of him and they were upset that the person that they usually use to distribute photos didn't want to do anything with it and told him that he's a private citizen. I'm like, yeah, exactly. He's a private citizen. Like, good Lord. But that being said, like, if there's a transcript of his testimony, that's totally fair game. And I'll definitely include it in all the links. But like I said, we've got the 2-day motion for new trial hearing. We've got Tory's testimony, and then we've got Tory's testimony. Excuse me. What am I saying? This is a sign I need to sign off. He did not testify. We've got Megan's testimony, and then day 2 of Kelsey's. But I don't have day 1. That doesn't mean it's not out there. I just haven't seen it yet, and I haven't seen a link to Kelly's either. But the big new stuff is the sentencing hearing that I put up. We've got the excerpts. The final one isn't ready yet, but it's supposed to be. She didn't say exactly which day, but she said early next week. So I'll blast out. And my plan is to finish up the article that I did that's kind of like a summary of the sentencing and then just include it in there. And I'm not going to watermark it because it's going to be like a couple hundred pages at least. So trying to watermark it would just be kind of silly. And it's a public record. Like I was saying in the other one, like, can you imagine Politico and Washington Post watermarking the Trump indictment? But yeah, well, oh gosh. Well, if anybody has any questions, ask them away. But I think I'm gonna sign out. And part of me, when it happened, I was like, I'm going to go back and edit this and like take out all this. It's like, you know what? Don't edit anything out. Just leave the trolls in there. They're just, like I said, people don't actually take these people seriously. Like the people who've known me forever and are getting these emails right now being like, when is Megan going to stop covering the Tory Lanez case and maybe do something on this big sentencing that's coming up? Their biggest advice to me and their biggest reaction to this whole thing is be careful. They're not like, well, you need to be more fair about this. It's like, no, it's just the same thing that, Michael Avenatti did. It's the same thing that Carl Hiaasen would get when he would write columns about politicians and that kind of thing. It just comes with the territory. So anyway, thank you all so much for signing in. I will have that letters story out tomorrow. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to do a live just because I already did a live through the letters and we need to get them out. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. See ya.